So this next section is all exercises. So this section provides tangible steps in preparation for dealing with the ontological shock, structured around the concept of the ordinary world as the first stage of the heroic journey. So exercise 1 is current life inventory. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Our Collective Experiences. I'm Sean, your host. And if you are a new viewer, thanks for checking me out. That came out wrong. Thanks for being here. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. Today, I'm super excited and I'm thrilled to introduce to you my Survivor's Guide to the Awakening. This project has grown far beyond what I initially envisioned. What I first thought this was going to be was just a quick little, here's some books, here's some podcasts that helped me along the way, and it's quickly evolved into something way more than I ever expected. It's evolved into something deeply personal, and I hope universally applicable. By the end of this series, I hope you'll find that this guide is indispensable for navigating the complex and often the tumultuous path of awakening. In today's episode, we'll delve into Chapter 1 of the guide. I've divided this exploration into 12 chapters, each corresponding to a stage of the heroic journey. This framework, often seen in myths, is meant to reflect our own paths of personal experience and development. It's designed to offer clarity and avoid the common missteps, which I made lots. By establishing a strong foundation right from the start. So I hope by creating a stronger foundation right from the beginning, or if you're only a little bit further into this journey, you'll be able to avoid a whole bunch of mistakes that I made and that also my partner made. She was a huge part of developing this, and I couldn't have done it without her help. So why did I create this guide? While there's no shortage of theories on awakening, my own journey highlighted the need for a comprehensive resource. I wished for something that included practical exercises, step-by-step instructions, best practices, and recommendations for books and podcasts, music, literally everything. And the whole reason was to ease confusion and pain that I often found while going through my awakening process. Drawing from my background as a tradesman and instructor in crane and hoisting, I've infused this spiritual journey with a practical, hands-on approach. Imagine this guide as your toolkit for the heroic journey. Tools you can pick, adapt, and expand upon as you carve your own unique path. So take what works for you and leave the rest. Use your intuition. This is the biggest thing about our journeys. We're all individual journeys, and not everyone's the same. So let's begin this exploration together. This guide isn't just a map. It's a toolkit for your heroic path, a beacon for your unique journey. So I'm going to read everything out so you can use this as an audiobook, because I know for me, a lot of the things I read, I actually listen to. I can gain that... I can really have better comprehension if I listen to it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this. But if you'd like a tangible version of this guide to refer back to, I've also included a link in the description to my Google Drive where you can download the PDF version of this chapter. As we progress through this series, and I'm not going to be going fast through this, I want to make this as concrete and applicable for everyone as I can. I'll update the document with the latest chapters, ensuring you can follow along and build upon each step of your journey. So, let's go. So the guide is called The Survivor's Guide to Awakening, a toolkit for your new reality. So, welcome, brave traveler, to the threshold of an extraordinary journey, a guide not just through the landscapes of fantasy or myth, but through the profound depths of your own existence. Here, we'll delve into the concept of ontological shock, a moment where the very fabric of your reality unravels, revealing truths that challenge everything you thought you knew. This guide, structured through the lens of the heroic journey, will serve as your map through this transformative odyssey. How each of you ended up here is entirely unique to you. Perhaps, like me, you have been swept up in a whirlwind of extraordinary experiences that shook you to your core. My journey began with a near-death experience. Then it spiraled quickly into what seemed like an unending onslaught of UFO sightings, abductions, encounters with shadow beings, and don't even get me started about delving into my own past. For others, the path might have been lit by Kundalini awakening, the disconcerting twist of temporal anomalies, or existential crises sparked by art, movies, or literature. Some might have experienced profound personal identity shifts or found themselves grappling with the implications of advanced technologies or philosophical revelations. However you arrived here, these are not mere tales of the bizarre. They are situations where one's foundational understanding of reality is challenged or overturned, leading to a state of shock or a profound reevaluation of what we believe to be true about existence itself. This guide is not just for the survivor. It is for the seeker, the warrior of consciousness, and in this guide, we'll give you the tools for A, understanding the shock, recognizing the signs and symptoms of ontological shock from disorientation to a sudden, inexplicable enlightenment. And sometimes that only lasts a couple minutes, and then you're craving that feeling all over again. B, navigating the new reality, tools and strategies to adapt your transformed worldview, embracing the unknown with your courage and curiosity. C, finding your mentors, whether they be physical or metaphysical, or even books. How to seek guidance from those who have walked this path before. D, the inner and outer battles, confronting both the personal demons that arise from such profound change and the external skepticism that might challenge your journey. E, integration, techniques for weaving your new highlights, new insights into your daily life, aiming to create a harmonious relationship between your old and new selves. And finally, community and connection. The importance of finding or creating communities where your experiences are not just accepted but celebrated as part of the human experience's vast tapestry. It's your base camp on your way to the mountaintop. This journey through what Jeffrey Kripal calls the flip is not one of escape, but of transformation. It's an invitation to redefine what it means to be you, to exist, and to perceive the universe. So, step forward, traveler. Let us embark on this odyssey together, armed with the wisdom of the ages and the courage of those who dare to question the fabric of reality itself. Here, in the heart of your ontological shock, lies not just the end of what you knew, but the beginning of what you might become. So, welcome to the rebirth of your reality. So, I've divided this book, which is, let's be honest, I think it's going to turn into a book, because it's going to be so frickin' long. I'm so sorry. Into 12 chapters. Each is based on the heroic journey. And so our first chapter, which is today's, is the ordinary world. Before the fabric of reality tears, there's a world where you live, breathe, and perhaps unknowingly await the call. Here, we explore the comfort of the known, the routines that define us, and the subtle hints of a larger world beyond our daily existence. Yeah, that's heavy stuff. Yeah. The second chapter, which will be next, is the call to adventure. This is where the ground beneath you shifts. An event, a revelation, or a realization that doesn't just call you to adventure, but thrusts you into it. This chapter examines the nature of ontological shock, where the familiar becomes alien, and the call is not just to adventure, but to a reevaluation of self. My call to adventure was my NDE. The refusal of the call. The mind recoils, the heart protests, and this chapter delves into the natural human response to reject what challenges our core beliefs. Here, we face the fear, the doubt, and the initial refusal to accept the new reality. Then, meeting the mentor. In every heroic journey, there's a mentor. In the face of an ontological shock, this might not be a person, but could be knowledge, a book, a philosophy, or even a moment of introspection that guides us towards understanding and ultimately acceptance. And in my experience, it's a combination of everything. Chapter 5 will be about crossing the threshold, the step into the unknown, where you leave behind the old world. And this chapter explores the psychological and emotional crossing from denial to acceptance, where the journey truly begins. And then chapter 6 is tests, allies, and enemies. Here, the hero encounters challenges, forms alliances, and identifies adversaries. In the context of ontological shock, these are the internal battles, the external validations, and the new relationships formed in light of your transformed worldview. And it can be a doozy. Chapter 7 is all about the approach to the inmost cave, the deepest, darkest part of the journey, where the hero faces their greatest fear or truth. For you, this might be the moment of confronting the full implications of your ontological shock, where the truth is both terrifying and hopefully liberating. Chapter 8 is all about the ordeal. This is the crucible, the moment of death and rebirth. Here, we explore how facing and overcoming the shock reshapes your identity, often through pain, but leading, hopefully, to profound growth. When I went through the ordeal, I'm almost positive I'm not the same person that made it through that. I think that old Sean died there. Chapter 9 is all about the reward. Emerging from the ordeal, there's a reward. This might not be tangible. Like, this might not be like a brand new car. It's more like wisdom and a new perspective, or a deeper understanding of existence and self, which is, it's great, I know. But sometimes you just want a damn sandwich. Then 10, the road back. After experiencing a deep change in perception, aka ontological shock, your return to normal life mirrors your internal journey, filled with challenges to integrate new insights into everyday reality, often against resistance, aiming for a harmonious blend of the old and new self. And it's freaking tough. Chapter 11 is all about resurrection, the ultimate challenge where everything you've learned is put to the test. Here you might face skepticism, disbelief, or even hostility from friends, lovers, family, or coworkers, testing your resolve and your new identity. And the tests will speed up. They'll be coming hard and fast. Anyways, chapter 12 is all about return with the elixir. The hero returns home, but not empty-handed. This chapter is about how you can bring back the elixir, the knowledge, peace, or transformation, benefit not just yourself, but to potentially others, sharing your journey's insights. And this is probably the most important. We're not supposed to hold back our wisdom. We're supposed to share it. Even if it is how to make the world's best pepperoni pizza. So, the ordinary world. This guide through ontological shock via the heroic journey isn't just about understanding a narrative structure. It's about recognizing your own narrative. Each step is a mirror to your soul, reflecting not just a story, but your story of transformation, resilience, and ultimately, enlightenment. Welcome to your journey, where the hero is you, and the adventure is the awakening of your true self. So, your story, like the heroic journey, begins in the material world. This is your life before what Jeffrey Kripal calls the flip. You have been making your way through life, either successfully or, like me, unsuccessfully. But chances are you know that there's something wrong, but you can't quite pinpoint it. You can't quite get the exact cause. This is our ordinary world, the material world, and you've been surviving. In essence, recognizing and understanding your ordinary world in real life is about taking stock of your current situation, preparing mentally and emotionally for the changes or challenges that might push you out of this comfort zone into a new journey of personal growth or adventure. And we need a higher perspective. So, some of the themes of the ordinary world and how it may show up in yours. Number 1, routine and environment. Your ordinary world is your daily life, including your home, workplace, regular hangouts, and daily routines. This includes your commute, the people you interact with daily, your habits, and your usual activities. Can anyone say Netflix? Number 2, comfort and discomfort. In this world, you will feel a mix of comfort and possibly a sense of dissatisfaction or boredom. This could be feeling stuck in a job, a relationship, or a personal situation that no longer fulfills you. Check, check, and more check. Number 3, personal status quo. It's where you understand your current status quo. So your social status, your financial situation, your health, your relationships, and your personal achievements. This is your baseline from which any change or adventure will be measured. 1, 2, 3. Number 4, identifying the need for change. The ordinary world sets up the need for change. You might feel an itch for something more, a desire for growth, or a longing for something different. This could be sparked by a personal crisis, a sudden realization, or just a growing, gradual dissatisfaction. Number 5, establishing character. In your own life, this is where you establish who you are before any significant change. It's about your personality, your beliefs, your fears, and your dreams. Understanding this helps in recognizing how much you will change by the end of your journey. Number 6, setting up the story. So, just like in stories, your ordinary world is where the narrative of your life's next chapter begins. It's the backdrop against which your personal growth, adventures, or challenges will stand out. Number 7, reflection and awareness. Reflecting on your ordinary world can lead to self-awareness, and you might start questioning aspects of your life, which can be the very first step towards personal development or embarking on a new path. Number 8, preparation for the call. This phase prepares you for what's next. The ordinary world might not be where the adventure happens, but it's where you gather the resources, knowledge, or courage needed for when the call to adventure comes. And finally, creating a baseline. By establishing what is ordinary, you create a baseline to measure growth or change against. After any significant life event or journey, looking back at this ordinary world helps you see how far you've come. Because sometimes it's really hard to see unless we turn around and look back. So, these are the tools we're going to need for our journey. A beautiful journal that speaks to you. If you're anything like my fiance, there's like about 15. Okay, I have just the same amount. They're so pretty. A set of comfortable pens and pencils. There's nothing worse than just using a really shitty pen when you have to write a lot. Just get yourself something nice. Treat yourself. A sketch pad and notebook. A tarot deck, runes, Ouija board, and I Ching. Essentially, what you need is an intuition tool that speaks to you. So find something. I guarantee you, if you don't have any of these things yet, you will. There's my tarot deck up there. It just seems to happen to everybody. So find something that works for you. I love tarot. There was a point where it was telling me things I really didn't want to hear, and I had this saying, which was "fuck you, tarot." But it's really great for training your intuition. Download an astrological app. And I know, I don't know how much Mercury is in Gatorade, but it actually does help quite a bit. And especially, I have a free one that's called The Pattern on my phone, and it's just as bad as tarot. It'll tell me something usually the day after I figure it out. And I'm just like, that would have been handy 2 days ago. But no, it's great. It gives a lot of clarifications and understanding for further down the road. And Robin Laster has some fantastic words of advice, and that I truly believe in, which is first, fuck you. That can be applied in so many situations, and we're going to need it. So, this guide is not just about listing, but engaging with your deepest self. It's about acknowledging where you are, envisioning where you want to be, and setting a foundation for personal transformation. Keep both this document and journal private and personal, allowing yourself the freedom to be completely honest without judgment, because it is so difficult to be honest with yourself. This guide serves as a comprehensive tool for exploring not just your physical and material world, but also your inner emotional landscape. It's about preparing yourself emotionally for the journey ahead, making you more adaptable and ready for the changes that might come with ontological shifts or personal quests. This journey will be like no others. Your journey is unique to you. Each one of our paths may intersect and we may have similarities, but just like our lives up until now, this is unique to us. My path is not your path. So some things that might work for me might not work for you. And I really want to emphasize, use your intuition, trust yourself. If something doesn't vibe with you now, it might further down the road, but don't discount everything. This will be the hardest journey you will ever attempt. But on the other side is a happier, more fulfilled, and more confident you. I guarantee it. I'm not all the way there, but I gotta tell you, compared to the day before my flip and right now, which is now like 4 years, it's one fuck of a difference. This journey is not a one-time occurrence. Once you have decided to step on the path, you can't get off. And you're going to return to the ordinary world again and again, each time bringing with you wisdom you gained each cycle. So be kind, be patient, and most importantly, forgive yourself for any missteps along the way, because we're going to make them. This world, we come to this world to learn, and trying is a part of learning. And we're going to make mistakes, we're going to stumble, and fuck knows, I made a ton. You will make mistakes as well, but that's okay. That's part of the process. We have to learn what we don't want, and we have to learn what we can't take, and we have to learn everything else to know what we do want and what we can take, and to learn how to put up boundaries, how to be honest with people, how to be honest with ourselves. But it's kind of a crapshoot. And I'll be honest, it's not that easy, but it's so fucking worth it. So next in our guide is the Heroic Toolkit. Embarking on the journey of self-improvement can feel as epic as any hero's tale. In the stories we cherish, heroes are equipped with tangible tools, swords, shields, maps, and more. Not just theories or plans. So this guide is your set of tools forged on the fires of academia, but in the real world crucible of life's trials and triumphs. And I swear I've got the sword in the mail to you. I don't know about this postal service right now. It might take a bit. But unlike a PhD, and I'm still working on the inferiority complex, who might spend years theorizing about heroism, you're a craftsman of your own destiny. In your toolbox, you'll find exercises and techniques that are as practical as a hammer or as precise as a chisel. These aren't abstract concepts. They're the hands-on applications of the heroic journey that you can apply immediately to your life. As a tradesman myself, I would never enter a job site without the right equipment. And you shouldn't approach personal growth without the tangible methods to navigate your path. This guide offers you those tools, crafted to help you carve out your own heroic journey, one step, one challenge, and one victory at a time. So, pick up these tools and let's get to work on building let's get to work on building the life you've always envisioned. So this next section is all exercises. So this section provides tangible steps in preparation for dealing with the ontological shock, structured around the concept of the ordinary world as the first stage of the heroic journey. So exercise 1 is current life inventory. So I want you to reflect on and document your current life situation and be as detailed as possible. If you're anything like me, and ADHD is like sometimes real tough. Sorry, I swear I just saw a squirrel. No. Anyways, Where was I? Oh yeah, detailed. Be detailed, right? Being detailed is very important, especially in the very beginning, because we want to try to identify everything that's working and not working in our lives currently. So, environment and routine. Describe your daily routine, morning to night. What is your daily pattern? List your home, your workplace, and regular hangouts. Who are the people you interact with daily? And how do these interactions feel? Jot down the differences between your work week and your weekends. Comfort and discomfort. What aspects of life bring you comfort? And what areas cause discomfort or dissatisfaction? This one can get a little bit touchy, especially if you were like me. I was like, there were so many things going wrong during my awakening. So be kind to yourself. Take your time. If this brings up an emotional response, you can write that down as you do it. That might help. Emotional and mental state. How do you feel about yourself generally? Oh, sorry. Personal status quo. Evaluate your current status in terms of social standing, financial situation, health, relationships, and achievements. Emotional and mental state. How do you feel about yourself generally? Are there specific fears or desires that dominate your thoughts? And then perception of reality. How do you understand reality right now and your place within it? In other words, how do you see the world? Is it transactional? Is it magical? Is it competitive? Is it illusory? How do you see our world right now? Emotional and mental mapping. Delve into your emotional landscape as it exists right now. So, daily emotional fluctuations. Track your mood throughout the day. What triggers positive or negative emotions? I can't stress how important this is and how much this will help further down the road. I wish I had done this right from the beginning, because it would have saved me so much triggers and so much heartache if I had been doing this right away. Are there any patterns in your emotional responses? Do you have a morning energy? Do you have evening fatigue? Do you get hangry? Write this down. For emotions, identifying the most persistent emotions you feel throughout the day: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, love, guilt. And for each core emotion, note what triggers it and how it typically resolves if it does. How long does it take to subside depending on which trigger? This can be super hard because when you're first delving into understanding your own emotions, it's really hard to get that fidelity of which emotion you're feeling versus what trigger versus a memory, because they're all jumbled up as we're awakening. It's like the door got open and the whole party just crammed into the living room. It's really hard to tell who's who. So this is where this identifying really comes in handy. And don't judge yourself for no matter what feelings that you're feeling. Do not judge yourself, because your feelings and your emotions aren't necessarily you. They're constructs and patterns and defenses that we've all built up in order to get us to where we are right now. Inner dialogue. What does your inner voice sound like? Is it British? Or is it supportive, critical, or indifferent? Or do you even have one? Document some of your recurring thoughts or self-talk. Dreams and nightmares. Reflect on your dreams or nightmares. What themes do they include? Like, how do they make you feel upon waking? And what do you identify as symbolic in them? Dream journals, incredibly important. Carl Jung has used dreams to talk to his subconscious. And in Jungian psychology, they still do. There's the archetypes and the symbology that you can see in our dreams, and that can be highly can provide huge amounts of illumination on your subconscious. Relationships with emotions. How do you handle your emotions? Do you suppress them? Do you express them or analyze them? Were you like me? I didn't think I had any emotions. I personally thought I was almost a psychopath, to be honest, right before I woke up. because I literally only cried like maybe once or twice since I was little. It's extremely difficult um, to know who you are once you awaken. And so, what emotions do you fear, and which ones do you avoid? These are all extremely important to understand about yourself. Exercise 2, your ideal life vision. Imagine you have a magic wand. What would you change in your life? $1,000,000, thanks. But no, seriously, key changes. What would you change about your career? Do you love your career right now? Do you find it fulfilling? What would you change? Would you only tweak a couple things, or would you change everything? How would your relationships improve? What would your ideal environment look like? What emotional state would you aim for? Would you want to be always happy? That one probably isn't actually able to be, because, to be honest, we have to have the good and the bad to be able to provide that balance. Unlimited wishes. What are the ultimate changes or additions you would make without any limits? So for each point you write down, add how you would feel if this is achieved. This is really important. Emotional aspect. Imagine your ideal emotional landscape. So, what's your desired emotional state? What emotions would dominate your day-to-day life if you had your way? How would you handle stress or negative emotions in this ideal scenario? Your ideal inner dialogue. What would your internal monologue sound like in this ideal world? How would you talk to yourself in moments of challenge or failure? And then emotional relationships. How would you ideally connect emotionally with others? What kind of emotional support would you seek, give, or expect? And emotional growth. What emotional skills would you like to master? Resilience, empathy, patience, love? Write them down. And at the bottom of these pages, for people that are just listening, there's quotes that we have sprinkled throughout the guide, which is, if the path before you is clear, you're probably on someone else's. Joseph Campbell. So exercise 3 is the 300 list. Create a comprehensive list of experiences, items, wishes, or any other aspirations you have. Be as expansive as possible. I got the inspiration from this one from Steve Harvey. I watched one video with him, and he told to write down as many things as you could think of until your hand cramps and you can't think of anything else. So some examples: financial goals, having 10 million bucks in your bank, because why not? Relationships, finding a soulmate, mending family ties. Experiences, traveling to space, meeting a historical figure, going to a resort, whatever. Material desires, owning unique art, luxurious homes, sports cars. Still don't have one. Personal growth, mastering a skill, achieving a certain level of enlightenment. But the target is aim for at least 300 entries. Don't limit yourself by practicality or current feasibility. I once wanted, in my list, I want to understand how reality works. I want to be able to transform into an orb. What was the other ones? I wanted to manipulate reality just like Neo. So write it down. Because by the end of like 100, 150 things, it gets actually surprisingly difficult. So for each point, write down, add how you would feel if this is actually achieved. Emotional experiential expansion. So expand your list now to include emotional states and experiences you wish to have. Here are some examples. Emotional goals. Experience pure joy for an extended period. Feel deeply understood by someone, because that can change literally everything. Experiential desires. Attend a life-changing seminar or retreat. You want to go see Dr. Joe Dispenza? Yeah. Have a profound moment of connection with nature or art. Aspirational emotional states. Achieve a state of inner peace that lasts for a day. How about a week? I'd like that. Feel completely fearless for a project or decision. Yeah, that'd be nice too. Relationship and emotional wishes. Have a conversation with someone where you both feel completely heard. And then share a moment of collective emotional vulnerability with friends or family. Or strangers that you met on the internet that are now like family. It can change a lot. Reflection and next steps. Okay, so after completing writing out the above exercise, I'm so sorry it took so long. Spend some time reflecting on what you've written. How does it feel to see your life laid out like this? Are there any recurring themes in your dissatisfaction or your desires? And what's small, and I mean small, like infinitesimal, tiny, hardly noticeable steps can you take towards any of the changes or aspirations you've listed? Start small. One of the biggest mistakes I've made throughout my journey is I want to take giant leaps. And then I leap before looking. That's one of my, it's either a flaw or sometimes it's pretty great, but a lot of times I land flat on my face. And this thing can't take much more. So start small. Small, consistent steps will add up so much quicker than giant leaps because a lot of times you miss the leap. So, reflection and emotional awareness. After completing writing out the above exercises, reflect on the emotional themes in your current life versus your ideal life. What stands out and what's different? Are there emotions you're currently avoiding or yearning for? And how do these emotional goals intertwine with your material or experiential ones? And then emotional review. Set reminders for periodic daily emotional check-ins. How are you progressing towards your ideal emotional state? And don't get bogged down that in a month you haven't got to an ideal emotional state, okay? I'm 4 years in, and baby, some days is rough, okay? Just because you're doing the work doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be done overnight. Some of you might actually get this done way faster. Some of us, I expect this is a marathon. This isn't a sprint, but it's still worth it. And it's right now, even though I have bad days, they're not as bad as what they used to be, and my great days are fucking awesome. Okay, so it does get better. Include in your journal being specific and noting your emotional experiences and insights. Give yourself at least 3 months of journaling. After 3 months, reassess whether this new formed habit is serving you. I stopped after a couple months, actually. My fiance, she still does it. So do what feels right for you at the time. But at least give things 3 months. That's how long it usually takes for a pattern to establish and for you to find out whether it's actually making a benefit or not. If it's not benefiting you, throw it out. We want you to use the tools that are benefiting you and leave the rest. So life opens up opportunities to you, and you either take them or you stay afraid of taking them. And that was by Jim Carrey. So the next is your daily emotional practices. So integrate practices to work towards your ideal emotional state daily. This ain't going to happen overnight. It may take years, like I was saying, but it is the small steps that can create big changes. So mindfulness and meditation. Spend at least 10 minutes a week in silence, focusing on your breath to observe your emotional state without judgment. If you can do more, fucking awesome. But to be honest, if you're a busy parent or you have a busy job, you have a busy life, sometimes it's really hard to start something like meditation, which is already hard, and keep at it. So that's why I say if you can just do even 10 minutes a week, that can help. When you start adding up to it, because you're starting to see more benefits, you'll automatically start doing it. And you can start, it doesn't have to be sitting in a lotus position, humming, right? There's lots of different types of meditation. A type of meditation that I didn't realize was meditation is while I'm driving. I listen to loud music and I essentially zone out. I'm still driving, but I find it calms me down. I have ADHD. Lots of loud things and stuff actually calms me. It's different for everybody. So find what works for you. Journaling. Write daily about what emotions you experienced and how you reacted to them. This is like incredibly useful going on. I wish I had done this earlier because it's really interesting tracking your emotions and seeing what triggered you versus their emotional how you were reacted to it and on what scale. It's super helpful. Gratitude practice. List 3 things you're grateful for each day, focusing on how these things make you feel emotionally. And if this is difficult for you, you're not alone. When I did this, I cried like a baby, especially if I did a gratitude for myself. Super difficult for me. Twice a day, pause to rate your emotional state on a scale. What caused it to change, and try to do these at regular intervals so that you can have a baseline of your emotions throughout the day. To make this a habit and to reflect on your feelings, no matter what they are, it's super helpful. And then a scheduled review. Mark a date 1 year from now to revisit this guide. Assess how many items on your 300 list you've actually managed to address or achieve. And you'll be surprised how many of those are checked off now. It's actually shocking. As well as how you now see these steps and how they have affected your life. Triggers. I might trigger some of you going through this. Just be prepared emotionally. But triggers, unlike what everything we have in our society right now, which is trigger warnings, triggers are key. Understanding your triggers isn't just about knowing what makes you tick. It's actually about peeling back the layers of your soul to meet your true self, raw and unfiltered. It's a deep dive into the well of your emotions, where the water isn't always calm. But for every ripple tells a story of who you are when the world isn't watching. This journey of self-awareness is not for the faint-hearted. It's about empowerment. It's about reclaiming the reins of your life from the whims of knee-jerk reactions. Each trigger you recognize is like a key unlocking a door within you, leading to chambers where healing can begin. Here, in these quiet corners of your psyche, you find the wounds that need tending, the pains that yearn for peace, and eventually bringing about a sense of balance to your life's melody. But the growth. Facing these triggers head on is your path to becoming whole, to what the great thinkers might call the pinnacle of personal evolution, your own heroic quest for the ultimate treasure of the self. And in this introspective voyage, you'll probably forge a profound connection with others, seeing the same struggle in their eyes, fostering compassion that whispers, "I know your pain," because it echoes in my own heart. Empathy can be a bitch, but it's so much nicer than being emotionally dead. And I'm saying that from experience. Understanding your triggers is not just important, it's a sacred act of self-discovery, healing, and connection. Making the journey through life not just bearable, but it's beautifully transformative. But, and there's a big but, and I cannot lie, it fucking sucks while going through it. You will be cut, bruised, and battered. And it may feel like you're lost, but you aren't. You just haven't had the chance to look back and see how far you have climbed already. This isn't a race, and I want to emphasize this over and over again. It's a lifelong marathon, and you're going to win. The first step is to recognize these triggers. The following pages delve into common emotional triggers and some of their causes. So down below here, we have, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. C.G. Jung. If this picture beside it triggers you, I'm sorry. It was kind of meant to. So here's the list of common emotional triggers, along with their descriptions and possible underlying reasons. Number 1, criticism or rejection. Feeling overly sensitive to any form of criticism or perceived rejection, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or defensiveness. Oh, yeah. Reasons often rooted in a fear of not being good enough, which might stem from past experiences like parental disapproval, peer rejection, or failure in significant life events. Or do you just constantly get criticized in your relationships? It's super difficult. Disrespect. An acute reaction to perceived slights or lack of respect, often manifesting as anger or frustration. This can be linked to a need for validation or recognition, possibly from a background where respect was conditional or withheld, or from cultural or societal norms where respect is highly valued. This one can be a tough one. Feeling unseen or ignored. Intense emotional response when feeling overlooked or ignored, leading to feelings of loneliness or worthlessness. Getting picked last every time. This could originate from childhood neglect, being in environments or where one's contributions were not acknowledged, or from relationships where emotional needs were consistently unmet. Betrayal or trust issues, an extreme sensitivity to any sign of betrayal or dishonesty, which can trigger anxiety or anger, often caused by past betrayals or broken trust, either in personal relationships or significant life events like being tied or being lied to by a close friend or family member, or just constant disappointment in people's behavior. That they say one thing and act another way, that can cause a crazy amount of trust issues. C.G. Jung has another quote here: "I am not what happened to me, I am what I chose to become." Number 5, loss of control. Overwhelm or panic when situations feel out of control, leading to anxiety or aggressive behavior. Might stem from traumatic experiences where control was forcibly taken away, like abuse, natural disasters, or from personality traits where control is a coping mechanism. Interestingly enough, I think narcissists have this loss of control feeling, and they manipulate everything around them to enable to feel control, because they're so their self-confidence is so shot that they need to control everything else, because they can't take anything. Injustice or unfairness, a strong emotional reaction to seeing or experiencing unfair situations, often leading to anger or a desire for retribution. Can be linked to a high moral compass or past experiences where justice was not served, promoting a vigilante. I bet, man. A vigilant response to any perceived unfairness. Abandonment. Intense fear or distress when there's a real or perceived threat of being left alone or abandoned. Typically from early childhood experiences like parental divorce, being left alone for long periods, or any situation where attachment figures were inconsistent or absent. If you had an inconsistent parental figure that you were left alone a lot, you can have abandonment issues. Success of others, feeling threatened, envious, or diminished by the success of others, sometimes leading to self-deprecation or resentment. Yeah, this one triggers me just talking about it. Could be due to self-esteem issues. Yes. Where the success of others highlights personal insecurities, or from competitive environments where only one can succeed. Yeah, this one's really rough for me. I still struggle with this one, to be honest. This one really, I feel like an imposter almost every day. It's getting better. I'm working on it, but yeah, it's real. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. C.G. Jung. Number 9, intimacy or vulnerability. Fear or discomfort with deep emotional connections, or showing one's true self, leading to avoidance or overcompensation. This one's very difficult. Darren King talks about radical transparency. And to be radically transparent, you have to be able to be vulnerable and intimate with others. Often from experiences where vulnerability led to pain, like mockery, betrayal, and intimate relationships, or from cultural backgrounds where emotional expression is discouraged. It's extremely difficult to be vulnerable after you've felt unsafe for so long. So this one's a huge trigger. Unpredictability. Anxiety or stress in response to uncertain or changing circumstances, leading to a need for routine or predictability. Might originate from environments where instability was common, chaotic upbringing, frequent upheavals, developing a strong preference for predictability as a safety mechanism. For mine, actually, instead of creating this need for routine or predictability, I needed the unpredictability. It was almost like an addiction, to be honest. It was kind of like the Joker from Batman. I needed the chaos, and it almost became a drug. Overwhelm. Feelings of being swamped or unable to cope with demands or information, leading to anxiety or shutdown. Your cup is already full, an extra drop can just make it overflow. Often linked to past experiences where one was expected to handle way more than they could handle, or from environments that were chaotic or high pressure, creating a low threshold for stress. Perfectionism, an intense reaction to anything less than perfect, often leading to self criticism or frustration with others' imperfections. This one. Ugh. This is my third time doing this, by the way. And first it's too hot, then it's too cold, and then I'm too boring. My hair was a little messed up. Oh man, it's just self criticism can be a bitch. We can focus it into a tool, but when it's like that ugly monster right away, oh, it can be nasty. So it could be from upbringing where only excellence was praised, or from environments like certain competitive fields where perfectionism was rewarded, fostering an unrealistic standard. Duality is an intrinsic feature of human nature. This is actually a quote from myself and Irina, my fiance, from our own journal that we have together. Misunderstandings, number 13. Significant distress when not understood or when communication fails, potentially leading to withdrawal or conflict. Some of the reasons might stem from experiences where being misunderstood led to negative consequences, or from a personal history where communication was frequently poor, leading to a high sensitivity. This one was, if you're from a family that doesn't know how to communicate, misunderstandings is literally the norm. Feeling trapped, an intense desire to escape when feeling confined or restricted in choices or situations, manifesting as restlessness or panic. This could be related to experiences of literal or metaphorical entrapment, like controlling relationships, oppressive environments, or situations where one felt they had no autonomy. Are you stuck in a job and you feel like there's no way out? I sure did. Rejection of change, strong resistance or fear towards any change, big or small, leading to rigidity or anxiety. Let's be honest, I think everyone has this. Some of the reasons, often from environments where change was associated with loss or trauma, or from a personality disposition towards stability due to past instability or unpredictable life events. Yeah, I think we all seem to have this, especially with world events. Fear is a strong bitch. Inauthenticity, a deep discomfort or aversion when forced into inauthentic roles or behaviors, which can lead to identity crisis or frustration. This might come from a lifetime of expectations to conform to roles that don't fit one's true self, or from cultures where individual authenticity is not encouraged. Like all of Western society, we're expected and controlled and designed to be real good little workers. So, all the spiritual tools in the world won't do jack for you if you continue to make the same decisions that are making you unhappy in the first place. Again, from our journal. It's funny, when I went through our journal, because this is like from a couple years ago, I read that one and I was like, ignored that one quite a few times. Number 17, unmet expectations. Disappointment or anger when outcomes or others' behaviors don't meet internal standards or promises. Yeah. Often from environments where expectations were consistently unmet, leading to a protective mechanism of high expectations, or from personal beliefs about fairness and meritocracy. Empathy overload. Feeling overwhelmed by the emotions of others, leading to emotional fatigue or withdrawal. This one is, oh man. This one I had no idea was an empath when I first awakened. I thought it was all my emotions, and then until I literally saw one time a coworker. I was just sitting in my crane, doing my thing. I was in actually a really good mood that day, and all of a sudden this wave of anger washed over me. And I was like, what in the hell? Like, why am I so angry? And I looked over, and my coworker must have dropped something on his toe or something, and he was kicking and cursing. He was throwing shit. And then I actually understood. I was like, oh shit. This is really weird, but I'm feeling others' emotions. That can be extremely draining until you can figure out how to be able to put up emotional boundaries and protect yourself from um, being overwhelmed by others' emotions. It can be extremely tiring. This can be due to being highly empathetic by nature or from roles where one constantly manages others' emotions. So, like caregivers, therapists, parents. If you're a child in a really chaotic environment, chances are you had to use this as a survival mechanism, causing a depletion of personal emotional resources. Number 19, public speaking and failure in public. Extreme anxiety or fear when facing public scrutiny or the possibility of public failure. When my business failed, and it was a public one, I went through this. The failure in public, being a social pariah, especially because there was such negative things being said. Probably one of the worst times in my life. I would rather experience my getting stabbed again, to be honest, rather than that. So often linked to past public failures or humiliations, or from societal or familial pressure to always succeed or appear competent, creating a fear of vulnerability in public settings. Guilt or shame. I feel guilty all the time. Overwhelming feelings of guilt or shame, often disproportionate to the action and leading to self-punishment or avoidance. Could be from religious or cultural backgrounds where guilt, shame is used for control, or from personal history where mistakes were met with severe punishment or rejection. Guilt and shame, I think anyone from a religious background should definitely check off this one off their trigger bingo button. Their trigger bingo. We could actually make a game out of that. Who's been triggered? You get a trigger, and you get a trigger. But yeah, guilt or shame, seriously. We have so much shame around sexuality, so much shame around being spiritual, so much shame as an experiencer of what I've experienced. That one was difficult, and still is. So yeah, those ones are real. Well, all of these are, but yeah, that one really sucks for me. You are what you do, not what you'll say you'll do. C.G. Young. Yeah, see, like that one, you could say, like, first, fuck you, Young. 21, overstimulation. Feeling agitated or anxious from too much sensory input or social interaction, leading to a need for solitude or quiet. It might be linked to sensory processing sensitivities or from environments where one had little control over stimulation levels, like noisy homes or overly busy workplaces. Or if you have any type of like autism or anything like that, that can also affect that. And then the last one is dependency, anxiety or discomfort when relying on others, or when others depend on you due to fears of letting down or being let down. Often from experiences where dependency led to negative outcomes, or from a culture that values independence excessively, creating a fear of vulnerability or burdening of others. This one is huge for both myself and Irina, actually. Every time we seem to depend on someone, we'd always be let down throughout our lives. I think for myself, I've come to the conclusion is that I depended on the wrong type of people that emotionally, and I think the emotional maturity, as I become more emotionally mature, I think that's more a good indicator of whether you can actually be dependent on them. Because if someone's just one drop away from being overwhelmed, you can't actually expect them to be dependable. So recognizing where people are at the time of their journey actually becomes a huge part of this. So recognizing where you are, but where others are as well, hugely important. So each of these triggers reflects a deeper psychological or emotional need, shaped by the individual experiences, societal norms, or inherent personality traits. Recognizing and understanding these triggers can be crucial for emotional regulation, personal development, and improving relationships by fostering empathy and self-awareness. And from my own experience, the universe is nothing if not efficient, and I will guarantee you will encounter multiple triggers from one event. So be aware that this is can and more than likely will happen. The amount of times I'll have for one event, I'll have like 5, 6 triggers plus 4 or 5 different emotions tied to those triggers, plus a couple memories tied underneath there. If you start unpacking a bunch of this, yeah, and it's like Shrek says, I'm an onion. You stink? No. Yeah, that there's layers. We're layers. So now that you can start to identify your triggers, over the next 30 days, start to journal which triggers you can identify in yourself. Their emotional scale and intensity, like from like 1 to 10. And if that intensity matched the actual circumstance, this is actually one of the handiest things I've learned for myself, is noticing if a trigger is actually, the emotional intensity is actually matching the circumstance, because this actually can tell me where that trigger is coming from. If it matches, then it's probably actually just it might just be the circumstance. But if it's way higher than what actually happened, it's like that making a mountain out of a molehill, then that points to that there's something deep down in the depths of you that needs to be explored. So we see things not as they are, but as we are. It's by an unknown because it's been quoted by so many people. It's actually a really fun deep dive if you look into that quote. That they don't actually know where that quote came from. So the next is the resources. This is a list of resources that can help prepare you for this first step. These are from my own experience and Irina's, and in no particular order. Each has given me a piece of the puzzle and helped me in its own way. Some, I only used a piece. Others, used all of it. So take what resonates and leave the rest. At certain points in my own journey, something that did not resonate at the time resonates so much now. So revisit. If something isn't vibing with you, pause it, come back to it later, because you don't know what type of wisdom you might gain from it at different points throughout your journey. I've rewatched movies now that have a different ring to them and a different layer that I didn't even know about. Same with books, same with music. So revisit things you've already read or seen or listened to. And it's surprising that you can get a new layer the further along the journey you get. So some nonfiction books. American Cosmic by Diana Pasulka. It's a great book into the UFO subject and religion. The Case Against Reality by Donald Hoffman. The Simulation Hypothesis by Rizwan Virk. Visionary by Graham Hancock. That one I really liked. How to be the love you seek. How to Meet Yourself and How to Do the Work by Dr. Laura LaPera. She has a great Twitter feed as well, or X, whatever Elon calls it now. But those books are self-help guides and books specifically geared to how to be the love that you seek, how to meet yourself, and how to do the work. Really recommend those. I really like them. Being You by Anil Seth. The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. This one I actually just read like 2 months ago. But I think it deserves to be in this first chapter. There's a couple things, like if you're an experiencer and you've started experiencing any psi abilities or being able to predict things, some of that might not vibe with you, but it's actually really good. It's a really good starting point to notice that a lot of the reason where we are right now with our lives is because of us, and that the mountain is actually us. So, who am I? And if so, how many? Richard David Precht and The Hero with 1,000 Faces, Joseph Campbell. Really love that book. If it doesn't vibe with you, that's okay. You can be wrong. It's fine. No. There's lots of myths. And we're going to get into the later chapters about finding your own myth. Fiction books. I'm a sci-fi nut and geek. So you'll find most of my books are sci-fi. But start writing down your own list of your own resources, of your own books that speak to you. Because I think this will be important further down the road. So for fiction books, Rendezvous with Rama series by Arthur C. Clarke. Love this series. Actually, Denis Villeneuve of Dune fame, the director, is actually going to be scheduled to actually make a Rendezvous with Rama series, and I cannot be more excited. Dune by Frank Herbert. This was a really impressive book. The movie was fantastic too, but the book really influenced my childhood. Legacy of Harrow by Larry Niven, Jerry Purnell, and Stephen Barnes. Think aliens on a colony. Oh wait, that is the same. That is the same plot. But it's actually really awesome, and it's like thousands of these little aliens just wreaking havoc. One of my favorite books. The other 2 or 3 books are pretty good, but that first one, Legacy of Harrow, love it. Rocket Ship Galileo by Robert A. Heinlein. If you have kids and they want to get into sci-fi, this is a fantastic entry into sci-fi. Time Enough for Love by Robert A. Heinlein. In Diana Pasulka's Red Pill class, actually, a lot of people said this one was like a Red Pill book for them. Jurassic Park by Michael Crane, because who doesn't like dinosaurs? And The Martian by Andy Weir. I love this book. YouTube channels. Heart Support. This one is for if you're into metal. This one, they go through a lot of the different reactions and the different artists talk about their own lives and how they try to put their own lives with the struggles, because a lot of metal artists come from some really dark places. And it's probably why I love it. But check them out. I think it's fantastic YouTube channel. If you're not into metal, don't bother. But if you are, I loved it. After School, I'm sure everyone's seen this by now. It's on YouTube where they do the highlighter on the whiteboard while they do a really awesome talk. I love that channel. Music. So I'm a metal guy. I love metal. I do like EDM and some other stuff. So these are some songs that I really enjoy. Check them out. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like it. Well, it might. I'm very sensitive now. So Burden and Dead End Life by Citizen Soldier. Talk about triggers. Those ones, oof, it's written by a therapist, I believe he was. Excellent music. The Phoenix by Fall Out Boy matches my tattoo. I love that one. Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Don't stop believing. I'm so sorry. There's the shame. And it's back. Rise by Lost Frequencies and All Stand Together by Lost Frequencies. These are actually EDM songs. I frickin' love them. Lost Frequencies, I love. Here's to Us and Familiar Taste of Poison by Hailstorm. She has beautiful voice. In Chains by Shaman's Harvest, really good. Simple Man is probably still in my top 3 songs of all time. And State of My Head by Shinedown. Okay by Robin Schultz. It's okay. Actually, no, I really like it. Power Over Me by Dermot Kennedy. I'm not usually into that type of music, but Dermot Kennedy, woof, real good. Waves by Robin Schultz and Mr. Probs. And an honorable mention goes to Disturbed. You weren't meant to see that. Well, obviously you were, but oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Shame. No. So podcasts, yeah. Let's talk about podcasts. Theories of Everything by Kurt Jaimungal. Really good entry into most of this. Know Thyself podcast, not the one on YouTube. I put the hyperlink in the document. This one's by Daniel Pawensky and Eduardo Manteca. They have a specific series starting in season 2 about the 12 labors of Hercules, and this series fucking rocks. It really helped with my understanding of the tarot, astrological signs, and the hero's journey and how they all fit together. Absolutely adore these guys. They haven't put anything out in a while, but really, if you start with that one, this will give you a great resource as we go forward with this. Three World Shamanism by Nicholas Breeze. It's an amazing series on all things shamanism. When I first had my NDE and I was really grappling with what I experienced, I gravitated towards shamanism. And Nicholas his podcast gave me like the beginning to a medium understanding of what shamanism is, and through the lens of our ancestors. Love that series. Aubrey Marcus podcast. This is a great entry into a bunch of great guests. He's a good host. I don't listen to him super amount anymore, but when I was first going through this, oh man, he has lots of great guests. There's this Edward guy. I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, just check him out. See what pops out to you. Use the titles and descriptions and just kind of like pick and choose. The Reality Revolution by Brian Scott. I don't listen to him anymore, but I listen to the crap out of Brian Scott beforehand. He has lots of great audiobooks. He has lots of great meditations, he has lots of great content. He's on YouTube, really great. I think he's doing a really good job. And then it's Redacted. Irina thought that one was great to go into this section. So, persons who offer views or theories on profound questions in ethics, metaphysics, logic, and other related fields that you can look into, aka philosophers, they will be eventually. Terence McKenna, right there. Alan Watts, Eckhart Tolle, and Philip K. Dick. I was about to make a joke about how much I love Philip K. Dick. So that's it for chapter 1. In the next chapter, we embark on the call to adventure, where the fabric of your familiar reality begins to unravel, presenting you with a challenge or a mystery you can't ignore. This is the moment when ontological shock first whispers. Then it shouts, demanding your attention. Whether it arrives as a personal crisis, a profound realization, or an unexpected encounter with the unknown, the call to adventure is your initiation into the journey of awakening. And it doesn't just have to be one thing. It could be literally boom, 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 boom. It's there to shake up the shit. So, here we'll explore how to recognize this crucial moment, embrace it with courage, and prepare for the transformative odyssey that lies ahead. So, get ready to step onto the path where heroes are made, where your survival toolkit will be put to the test, and where your new reality begins to take shape. I hope you join me next time, and thank you so much for watching. Till then, thank you.